Efendim aslında güvenlik bahsinde bizim milletimizi ayrı bir yere de koymak lazım. Biz işkilli milletiz. Yani güvenmeyiz kolay kolay. Ben eve güvenlik kamerası bağlattım, işkillendim ya. Sonra hırsız pozuna girip, modülüne girip eve sızmaya çalıştım. Girmeye çalıştım. Neyse polisler geldi, büyük rezalet oldu. Anlattım ya, dedim ben bu kameralara güvenmedim, onun için böyle yaptım. Yani güven bahsinde bir güvensizliğimiz var. Aslında biliyor musunuz, bu belki bütün dünyada da var. Şöyle söyleyeyim. Bütün dünya güvenlik bahsinde böyle bir tık düşünür. Halbuki çok etkin ve dinamik olması lazım bu mevzunun, değil mi? Bir değişik bir mevzumuz var. Bunu şuna bağlayacağım. Yazılım modernizasyonu ve güvenlik mevzusu var. Şimdi yazılım dediğin zaman 70-80 yıllık tarihi yok mu? Var. Ama her modernizasyonda güvenlikçi arkadaşlar siyim gözyaşı döküyor. 10 saçını başını yolluyor. Niye? Ya yazılımın modernizasyonu yaptığın zaman güvenliği de yapman gerekiyor. Zaten işkillisin. Güvenlikte zaten endişelisin. Bir de onun modernize olduğunu düşün. Sen de bir şeyler yapmak zorundasın. İşte şimdiki konuşmacımız bu işi halletmiş. F5'ten Matthew Derrick geliyor. Matthew Derrick ne Derrick diyecek bilmiyorum ama en doğru şeyi söyleyecek. Onu da Osman Karan söyletecek. Çünkü moderatörümüz olacak efendim. Nasıl olacak da bu 80 yıllık tarihte geldiğimiz noktada bu modernizasyon aynı zamanda güvenlikçileri de rahatlatarak devam edecek. Matthew'dan öğreneceğiz. Hadi öğrenelim.
Hello everyone, welcome to this virtual session which is Application, Modernization and Security. Matthew is in here. He is working as Solution Architect at F5 Networks. Hi Matthew, welcome.
Hi Osman, thank you.
As we know, in briefly, DevOps and DevSecOps is to do adaptation as different silos and operations with respectable culture. In this culture, companies have changed their process for development, building, testing, and production environments like that. Many organizations such as Amazon, eBay, and Netflix have solved this problem by adopting what is known as the microservices architecture instead of building a single monstrous and monolithic application architecture. The main idea is to split your application into a set of smaller interconnected services and to end up building complex architectures, so to build easy applications. In the other hand, before you have to deploy these services in legacy virtual machines, now you can run Docker engines with Kubernetes clusters. So these new architectures and these new buildings have come with new problems with load balancing, security issues, monitoring, and to provide adaptation to DevOps and DevSecOps culture. So let's start firstly with this question, Matthew. Why DevOps should talk with security operations?
Yeah, good question, Osman. As you said, the modern application are moving from the monolithic to the microservices world with Kubernetes and all these new kind of solutions. And it's two different teams with two different generations. As we can notice in the DevOps world and teams, usually it's young people, that are learning very fast and learning new solution and new stuff. On the SecOps, there is a story. There is a story because the SecOps are used to deploying security for a long time. Okay, so the processes sometimes, not often time, but sometimes are hard and legacy. And it's difficult for a company to change the security processes, policies, and standards in few days or few months. So that's why there is a different level of expectation for the SecOps and the DevOps. So it's very important that the SecOps know what the DevOps are doing and how they work. So even if there are two different generations. Sometimes it's the same generation, but in some companies, the SecOps have been working for the company for 5, 10 years. And the DevOps are young people, and the DevOps change every time their project, their job. They like to work on brand new project, and that's why they move from Amazon to Google to Microsoft to learn new things. So it means for the DevOps, it's difficult to first learn the security policy and then to apply the security policy. So that's why it's important to connect people right now.
Mhm. Exactly. What about that, Matthew? Actually, how can we improve communication and collaboration between these developments and operations? Also, maybe we can add these the security teams. So, how can we improve this communication?
Yeah, this is a big challenge, and for every company, every firm. Uh, so far, the DevOps used to be a team somewhere on a side, alone. And when companies created these DevOps teams, okay, so I would say that companies have developers for a while, and they used to develop monolithic application. They didn't move from the developers to DevOps. They created this team in a backside, in a dark side, I would say, and say, okay, guys, let's start. Let's start using DevOps processors, methodologies, and let's see if it works. Okay, so this team are not new, but they used to be allowed to do everything they want. Okay, so it was not open bar, it was not open budget, but they could do everything they want. They could use the tools they want. They could use the security solutions they want. The goal was to confirm and to validate the DevOps model is the right model. And all the main, I would say, the top 200 companies in the world did that, and they confirm, okay, they confirm, yes, DevOps is the right process and we have to move to DevOps. So this is one thing to understand. There is a story behind that. DevOps used to use the things they wanted and not what the company advises. And then when we said, okay, DevOps is the right process, is the right methodology, let's replace the developers by the DevOps. Okay, so let's use now the DevOps methodology. And this is where the SecOps uh, discovered, I would say, discovers the DevOps. Say, oh, this is how they work. Okay, so they are very agile. They use tools that we didn't know. Okay, for the application lifecycle development, they use security tools that we were not aware. So, for instance, they are used to use a cloud native app, native WAF. Say, oh, but you should not. This is not something approved as a company. So that's why now we need to improve this collaboration between the security guys and the DevOps. And it's time for security guys, security team, the SecOps, to teach, okay, to learn to the DevOps what are the security policies in the company, because the company has to follow and to apply to a lot of policies and guidance, and the DevOps cannot bypass that. They cannot bypass this policy. Now it's time to follow this guidance. Okay, that's why we need to improve this communication. And the only way to improve this communication is to to to evangelize, to make evangelization. Okay, on both sides, not only to the SecOps. Okay, SecOps has to understand how DevOps work and how they build application now in a microservice environment with Kubernetes. But it's important in the opposite. It's important for the DevOps to know why security is so important for a company. Why, if you do one mistake in your code, and if all your database is pawned and all the database is disclosed to the internet, do you know what will happen? This is why we need to do evangelization, and vendors like F5 and Genix and other vendors. It's our role and job as well to evangelize.
Exactly. So we are talking so much about the security perspective in the DevOps, and it's talking about with DevSecOps. So in the end of the day, so how can we get away from security constraints for
Yeah,
them?
it's this is what DevOps wish. They would like to get away, but no, you can't get away from security processes and guidance. So it's important that the DevOps not, I would say not follow the guidance, okay, but they need to understand why we put in place this guidance and this standard for the security concern. So don't get away. It's very important to to put, yeah, to add in the DevOps processes. The DevOps use the term pipelines. Okay, pipelining. Pipeline is a yeah, it's a path of steps. When you build an app, you start by extracting the code, building the code, publishing the code. In this pipeline, now it's time to add security processes, constraints, but processes. Okay, let's say like that. So you cannot get away, and you have the DevOps has have to know that they have to follow this guidance. So don't get away from the security content. Never. Okay.
Exactly. What about in your sites, actually, as a vendor, Matthew? What is your in this DevSecOps and DevOps framework and methodology? Would you like to mention about in the vendor perspective?
So yeah, as a vendor, our role is to connect people. So F5 Nginx it's one team, okay, it's one company, but you can understand F5 is more security concern, okay. So for the SecOps, F5 is a security vendor where with a WAF, with firewalling, with access, and this is managed by the SecOps. And on the other side, we have the DevOps, and that's why we acquired Nginx 3 years ago. Okay, so Nginx is DevOps oriented, and in the last 2 years, we work a lot as a vendor to connect Nginx with F5 in terms of solutions and products. So now in F5 side, we do have DevOps, I would say, mechanisms. Okay, so F5 now can be orchestrated, automated. And on the other side, on the Nginx, we added all our security skills and knowledges in Nginx, and we presented 2 months ago our first Nginx WAF. So as a vendor, our role is to provide to these two teams a solution that could be connected together. Because if we continue to create solution for the SecOps and only solution for the DevOps, we don't connect people. Okay, and it's a war because one team would want to use, okay, I want this solution for the security, and I will force you, the guy from the DevOps, I will force you to use this tool. The DevOps will say, no, I don't want. I don't have time. It's not my skills. There's always it's important to provide for both teams at the vendor the right solution. But on one side, it will be very strong security solution. On the other side, it will be a strong automated orchestrated solution to integrate the solution in a CI/CD pipeline, in Kubernetes. So as you said, Osman, in a microservice world, it's microservices, so it means API. Okay, so API it's API is a new web app, is a new web application, and it's important that on the Nginx side, these solutions are fully API compliant. But if we don't do it on the F5 side for the SecOps, we're gonna have a problem because we're gonna have a wall between two teams. Say, oh, you are not agile on the SecOps. We don't follow our DevOps processes, and you slow down us. We develop fastly, and because of you, we are very slow. So as a vendor, it's our role to connect people with solutions like that.
Mhm. I would like to go uh, to go to deeper for Nginx platform, Matthew. Actually, the Nginx as a company was acquired by the last year for
Yeah.
by F5 Networks. So it is vision to simplify the journey to microservices for your customers in the end of the day. So and in briefly, Nginx application platform helps reduce the complexity and the common functions down to fewer components, like to help make application infrastructure more scalable, more manageable in the end of the day. So the first question is that, for example, would you like to mention about the security perspective about the Nginx application platform? So So which main values from I can get from this security values from this platform? Would you like to mention that? Mhm.
Yes. So what the SecOps expect from the DevOps? It's okay, guys, you have been working on a project on an application, and I know that you are going to release a new version or a new application next week on Monday. Of course, you are not allowed to publish the application alone. You have to deploy security solution in front of your app. So either you use our solution in a SecOps, but it will require some time. Okay, so please raise a ticket, and where we'll create the policies, everything on our side on the SecOps side. But it requires 2, 3, 5 days. Or if you want DevOps, you can use Nginx security solution, and you can integrate this solution in your pipeline. And Nginx provide several security solutions today. The first one is Nginx App Protect. It's Nginx WAF. So it's a way for DevOps to integrate in the pipeline the WAF. And in order to be CI/CD compliant, this WAF has to be declarative. Everything is declarative in a DevOps world. Declarative means I configure things with an API, and there is no user interface. There is no graphical user interface. So the Nginx App Protect is an Nginx instance, very lightweight. So it can run, it can be deployed in a Kubernetes pod directly, could be deployed in a Kubernetes ingress controller, or it could be a virtual edition in front of your Kubernetes cluster. So the DevOps have a lot of flavors to deploy the WAF. And this WAF is very lightweight because, first of all, it consumes few CPU and few memories, but for the configuration as well. The configuration is a declarative configuration. It means the configuration is just a JSON file, and this JSON can be hosted in a GitLab or a GitHub repo. And this configuration, it's a WAF configuration. This configuration can be managed by the SecOps. So the SecOps just manage a security policy, and the DevOps deploy the Nginx Plus, deploy the Nginx App Protect, and run the pipeline and say, okay, thanks for the SecOps team. Your policy works in my pipeline. I can publish tomorrow my application. This is one security solution from Nginx.
That's that's really great because in the security perspective, the main issues from the security perspectives is the uh, layer 7 attacks in the, for example, to provide and to protect your API management in the microservices architecture, and also you need to mitigate your bot attacks, for examples. So with this Nginx app project, you are providing these security values from this platform actually. So what about integration sites, Matthew? How do you integrate your tools into application lifecycle development, or DevOps, we can say? And how do you accelerate this integration?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. When we provide this kind of solution like the Nginx App Protect to the DevOps expect from us, from the vendor, the tools to deploy this solution. Because of course, the DevOps will not connect to a virtual machine and run commands manually. Okay, they will not do yum install Nginx App Protect. They use GitLab, Ansible, Terraform, and they use Jenkins for the orchestration. So it's our job as a vendor to provide to our customers and our partners like you this tool. So F5 Nginx provide on a GitHub, on our own GitHub Nginx or GitHub F5 networks, we provide the Ansible playbooks. So it's the name is Ansible module. We provide these modules, these libraries, so that DevOps can just integrate this library in their pipeline. So they don't have to learn. They don't have to learn how the Nginx App Protect works. They don't care. What they have to do, say, okay, the Nginx has to be deployed on a CentOS. I need to provide a username and a password. I need to provide a policy from the SecOps, and I just have to tell where is my ELK, where is my syslog server. So this is how a module works. Okay, so you just provide this pipe information to the module, and the module would deploy the Nginx App Protect for you. So we provide a lot of Ansible module, Terraform provider. We have a lot of examples, use cases with Jenkins and Ansible so that our customers and partners can just take the example and replicate the example in a real world. Because in a DevOps, the developer never recreate the wheel. They always reuse what exists because they have to reduce the time to deploy. So that's why we provide these tools. And this is very important for our customers. And we have dedicated teams on GitHub because this is the place we decided to upload and push our modules. If you go to GitHub's Nginx Inc. INC, this is the place for Nginx or F5 networks for F5 networks. You're gonna see updates every week. So every week we update our modules in order to fit perfectly with our customer expectation.
Mhm. Thanks for this session, Matthew. Actually, I would like to ask my last question, which what can be the new threat landscape for DevSecOps, especially in nowadays, to adapting to new normal for our uh, work environment. So, what's your idea about for that? What do you see for the next step on the DevSecOps journey?
Yeah, great question. I'm not allowed to provide you with my roadmap, but I can give you some ideas.
Yeah.
So yes, what we notice it's the SecOps delegate more and more the security layers to the DevOps. But the DevOps don't have time to spend on SecOps, honestly, on security. And it makes sense. It's not their main job. So customers now expect from security vendors that we simplify the way we deploy security. And they expect from us accuracy. Accuracy, I mean less false positive. When I deploy a WAF, when I deploy bot protection, as you said, they expect that the solutions are very accurate. I don't want to block a legitimate user because this user perhaps is a very important user that is ordering a lot of, I would say, products if I am an e-commerce website, and I should not block the transaction. So security vendors, and not only F5, we can see has been working on intelligent smart model, machine learning, artificial intelligence. And we can see that security solutions now are connected to a cloud where the vendors collect big data, collect a lot of information from a lot of customers, anonymized information, data, so that our solutions are much more accurate. So let's take an example with a WAF. If we can tell to a WAF, oh, this request that you are going to block because you think it's a bad request, don't block it. It's a good request. It's a French user. And in France, we have something very famous that is apostrophe OR. One technical example for this session. Apostrophe OR is a SQL injection in the SQL world. In France, it means golden. So in France, we have the golden cheese, the golden city, the golden bridge. So it's a word that we use a lot in France. And if a French guy inserts this word in city field, for instance, it will be blocked by the WAF. With a smart and clever solution with big data, it will say, oh, it's coming from France. I should not block this request because it's a legitimate request from a French user. This is for me the future of the security for application security. It's a way to collect data, big data, and share this brand with all our customers.
Exactly. That has been great session, Matthew. Thanks for your attending and for your sponsorship. I have been so pleasured to talk with you and have a nice conference, Matthew. Bye bye.
Thank you, Osman. Bye bye.